Yes, so
Uh,
tell us about your meeting with Pierre Poilievre and other ideas.
well, actually, I met him in September, I think 2 years ago almost now. But basically, I went up to him. I had a funny shirt on with Trudeau on the front, and it said, "I'm about to do something horrible to you." By that, but I also said, like, we need to deal with these people who are handing our government over to foreign interests. We These people cannot be allowed to get away with this. The World Economic Forum is being the like Freeland is on the board, Carney was on the board. Uh, these people are handing over our country. You can go and watch Klaus Schwab say, I know that more than half of Mr. Trudeau's cabinet are members of our WEF, World Economic Forum, Young Global Leaders program. Like, how can you trust someone like that? Like, and they talk about helping everybody, but really what they're trying to do is enslave us. And they've written it all down. Like, they've written this down, they talk about it. Most people don't have the time to look into it. I do. And that's why I'm like, I'm not interested in these people running the country. And I hope to God that the Conservatives stay away from that organization, that we do everything we can to distance Canada from that organization and from this globalist agenda that seeks to enslave everyone. That's what I'm voting against. Right? The Liberals would probably fund the type of projects that I do more than the Conservatives, but I'm more concerned about the freedom of all Canadians and of all people than I am about my own benefit. I think that's we need to fund infrastructure anyway. If you want to have a strong country, you need to have good infrastructure. And the fact that like these tariff things are basically they're an indicator of how much we've sold out our country to this globalist agenda, because we should be as self-sufficient as possible, and that's what we should be using this as an opportunity to do. And I hope that any government that gets in, it doesn't matter who it is, I hope it's not the Liberals, because I know that Carney's just going to sell us out to the globalist agenda. He's going to give us a whole bunch of fake solutions to climate change, and his wife has made millions of dollars off of climate consulting. I can guarantee you, I know far more about fighting climate change and doing things about climate change than she does, and I haven't made millions of dollars. There's a great big club, and it's not about helping the environment. It's a bunch of greenwashing. Um, that like how to future proof your home, that's the book that I wrote to try and teach people, like, if we build as self-sufficient as possible, we can actually like become better off financially. We're less dependent on a system that's damaging the planet. I'm standing there in front of an innovation I came up with for solar air heating, but I don't like, that's a solution in the right direction, which is like solar and wind. But I mean, there's presentation, there's people have created free energy devices. Even Nikola Tesla, who gave us the modern world, he went bankrupt trying to give us free energy. And this system does not want people to be self-sufficient. Like that slide there that you're standing on, new technologies can make our problems disappear. That's the type of, like, people at one time they thought that the streets of London and New York would be buried in 9 feet of horse manure. And that's because they couldn't see that a new technology would make the old technology completely irrelevant and would solve the problem immediately. Well, guess what? If we all had free energy devices, we wouldn't be dependent on this system. We could desalinate the ocean. We could green the desert. We could do all kinds of things, like providing food for everybody. We could make all kinds of things that are available to us. And that's why it's being suppressed. That book, The Practical Guide to Free Energy Devices, you can go, and the link is on that slide there. Watch the Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. Those two resources right there are unbelievable in terms of understanding that there are these devices that have been created, that have been patented, and they're suppressed. And anybody who tries to bring those things forward and commercialize them ends up dead. And my neighbor growing up invented a machine like that, which is why I've been obsessed with this idea for most of my life. I remember being a teenager and thinking about this nonstop. You can see the pictures of this. One is it's moving, the other one it's not. There's no wires, there's no inputs. It's just that thing spun it. My friend whose dad invented that, he saw it. He saw it running. He said they couldn't keep it from flying apart. But once it got going so violently that one of the magnets came out of it and it got stuck in the wall of the Atco trailer, and he had to pull it out of the wall. And then the other magnet went and dented a steel door in that trailer, and his uncle got a great big gash across his arm. So like,
yeah. So it's made
it's
of
possible.
So it's driven by magnets.
Yes.
So
magnetic forces. And that's what a motor uses. A motor uses like magnets and copper windings. Like that's how you make a motor. I'm not gonna pretend
I will share this presentation on my Substack, and I will provide link on a YouTube channel.
When you saw that.
I would love you to meet with the people from like Evidence for Democracy. These people who have, I call them cherry-picked evidence for democracy. You know, they cherry-pick evidence which they like, and they ignore the evidence which they don't like. So they don't talk about 5G, so geoengineer, this weather modifications, or any other things which we talk about, which conflict with industrial lobby groups. They don't talk too much about. But they talk a lot about environment, so I was thinking maybe they would be open to the idea of inviting a brilliant, scientist to talk about those things. So one of the ideas I will do, I will reach again this organization, trying to offer opportunity for a debate, for example, But again, looking at what they're promoting, they're not talking about issues which we want to be, which we really want to be discussed, on how to make government transparent, accountable, and of course,
what you have to remember about government is its role is to hold power, and very few people who step into power want to give it up. The truly powerful people who want to help the world, like people with real power like yourself and me, we are doing things because we want to, because we can. The people who seek power because they don't have real power, they won't give it up. They don't use it for others. They use it for themselves. And we could get into an esoteric discussion about that.
but indeed, it's eventually the next topic will be what we can do, what you can do, what I can do to at least to raise awareness about those issues among our colleagues, who are still believing the liberal have done absolutely the best possible job over the last 5 years, and there's nothing better than what they
murdered many people. Many people are now sick and dying because of what the liberals did. And there was no medical emergency that couldn't have been dealt with by giving everybody vitamin D, by telling everybody to take vitamin D. And here's some ivermectin. It's super cheap. Take this. Everybody would have been fine.
Indeed. You mentioned the horrible story of your sister's friend, and just one story is enough. I've seen other parents with children already on a wheelchair. It's horrible. And some people died. And of course, we are not allowed to talk about that. I am the public servant, and my employer, they say I cannot criticize the government, or otherwise they will just discipline me. But I say I do not criticize the government. I just provide evidence, and that it's a very subtle line. And I hope with the new government, we will be allowed to talk more evidence, truth, even when it is not convenient truth, when it is not coinciding with the WHO or WEF narrative or our government narrative. So may this be a concluding statement for our meeting today. Let's hope that the new government will allow true, freedom of scientific expression or any speech in expression, and Poilievre explicitly said that he would cancel this bill C-11, which essentially it's a censorship bill which will kill freedom of speech whatsoever. And
you can't call yourself a scientist if you're for the censorship, because science is the pursuit of truth. And as soon as you start censoring people rather than disproving them with science, you're no longer practicing science. And everybody needs to understand that. The second that there's censorship on any subject, that is no longer science, it's propaganda. And that's why people got so swept up by lies and slogans like "follow the science." Well, if you follow the science, you know that the science that they were telling us is bull.
Exactly. I think, Shane, you just recapitulated or resume. So summed up the whole point of our discussion today. May we elect the government which will allow the scientists to speak openly without fear, without discrimination, without being disciplined, or even the fear of being disciplined for just saying what they believe is correct. I thank you very much.
If we don't do that, we have what the Nazis had in Germany about 80 years ago, because they would they would censor any kind of information they contradicted the agenda. And that is like, we're in a very scary time right now if people can't speak the truth. And this truth has been censored so much lately, it's unbelievable. And that is not what Canada should be about. We should be about truth and
it's unbelievable, but as I mentioned, in fact, it's exactly understood why it happened, because a lot of funding went into behavioral science, which preemptively prepared population to accept the narrative which was convenient for the government, which was the narrative prepared for the government from external parties like WHO and the WEF. So thank you very much. I have to cut here because I have my yoga class. Actually, it already started remotely 7 minutes ago, and I will catch up. Thank you very much, Shane.
Okay, thank you.
We will continue discussion.
Sounds good. Great to meet you.
Bye.
Have a great day.